Hello guys, welcome to Coding Cafe. My name is Mohammed Ali, and in the previous tutorial we have successfully allow different user to search for their friends, and we also created the profile activity where we display the profile picture and name of a user. Now in this tutorial what we are going to do is to allow a user to send a friend request to other user, that is to add different friends from the search, and which I already show you guys. In the previous tutorial we have this add for friend button and a decline, or you can say the cancel friend request button, the visibility for which by default we set invisible. The visibility is gone for that button. So now let's just go to our profile activity, and here we have our button by the name add friend and decline friend request. What I'm going to do is here on our on create, let's create a function. Let's call a method which we will create now, and let's give it name as manage click events for our buttons. Okay, so this is the method. We will write a lot of code related to our send friend request, cancel friend request, and yeah, you will see it when we write it. Okay, so manage click events. So first of all, when a user click on this add friend, what we want to do, first of all, let me tell you one thing, that is a user cannot send a friend request to his own account. As you can see in the previous tutorial, I was logged in as Muhammad Ali, and when I click on Muhammad Ali profile, then it show me my name and my image and also this add friend button. So in the case where a user search for his own account, let's say, then this button will must be invisible at that case. Okay, so a user cannot send a friend request to his own account. So for that, here first of all we have to check one thing, and that is we can say that if, let's first take the online user ID, which we can get by just writing here, that is private firebase auth, and let's create a variable by the name, which will be a string type variable, and here we will store the online user ID. So let's give this variable name as current user ID. So let's say I am now, let me tell you the scenario now. I am now an online user. Okay, so this is current user ID, and I want to send friend request to John. Okay, so the John ID is basically the receiver ID, which we in the previous tutorial used. Okay, so anyways, let's just come here first, and here we can say auth equals to firebase auth dot get instance, and then in our current user we can get the ID of a online user. So we can say firebase, sorry, auth dot get current user dot get uid. Okay, and now what we're going to do is that here we can check if the online user ID, which is our current user ID, if this equals to the receiver user ID. If the sender and receiver both are same, then we will disable, or you can say make the visibility of our this add friend button to gone. Okay, so if the current user ID dot equals to receiver user ID, so we can say if this is equals to the receiver user ID, then we have to make the add friend button dot set visibility to gone. And if this is not equals, that is if the current ID is not equals, then we can write else statement, or you can also by writing the if statement, else if statement. If you want specific the condition like if not, okay, then you can also type like this. But anyways, let's write the else statement because we have nothing more to do beside this. Okay, so it will check if the current user ID is equal to receiver user ID, then we make the visibility for the add friend button to gone. So now in that case the user will see only his profile image and the name, and not this button. Now inside this else statement, it will be the receiver and current user are different. Okay, so let's say here the current user will now send friend request to different people. So for that we can say add friend dot set on click listener. I mean, now we are allowing the user. So here we can say new on click listener. Just quickly do this. Now here we will have different conditions. That is, the first one will be, let me tell you quickly the scenario. First, let's say we are two different new people. Okay, so I am person A is going to send friend request to person B. So they are totally new for each other. Okay, so we have to maintain the status of that. That is, let's say if I am going to send a friend request to person B for the first time. Okay, so we are both new. Let's say I have already sent friend request to someone. Okay, so we have to play with the current state. So for that, let's create a variable by the name current state quickly, and we can just say private string current state. Let's initialize it with new. Sorry. So if the current state is new, dot equals to new. So if this is equals to new, it means that we have to send friend request to the person B. Now there will be another case, I mean, for which we will now maintain the state, okay, the current state. Let's say if a user already sent the friend request, in that case, we must, if a user click on the add friend, as you know, we will play with this button now. By playing, I mean that is to maintain the status. Let's say I already sent a friend request to person B. So in that case, I will see the other button which will be cancel friend request. Okay. So in that case, we can say else if. Let us just quickly copy paste this. So for that, we will maintain a status, and please make sure to use the same names. Okay, new and then request underscore sent. Otherwise, you will get confused later on. So for the new and already request sent, sorry, it is request underscore sent. And now what if person B received a request? Okay, so how person B will look at this page if he comes here? So instead of add, I mean this add friend button, he will see a button like accept friend request. Okay, and there will be that other button which is our decline, or you can say cancel friend request. So for that we can maintain a status. Let's just copy paste this. Okay, two more times, and here we can say request received. Okay, which is for the receiver. That is, now here we will write a code for that. I mean, for all of these requests received. Okay, so this is the third case. If let's say the receiver come to the profile page, and he will see that Muhammad Ali sent me a friend request. So instead of add friend, he will see a button that is accept friend request, cancel friend request. And the fourth condition is basically, let's say I send friend request to person B. So and I mean we become friend with each other. Okay, let's imagine he accept my friend request. So in that case, we will be friends with each other. So in that case, if that my friend, which is person B, come to this profile page, then instead of this add friend button, he will see a button that is, let's say he wants to cancel the friend request, or you can say he want to delete account button basically. So if he will see a delete account, or you can say cancel, whatever the name you want to give to that, which we will later on you will see it. Okay, so basically he will see a delete account button. So if he click on delete contact or delete account button, then we will unfriend with each other. Hope you have already seen these things, these functionalities in Facebook. So anyways, hope you understand this. And by the way, don't get confused yourself when we write the functionalities for each of these for conditions, and when we test the application at last, you will understand everything more clearly. Okay, remove the else statement from these if statements. It is just a combination of if statements. So for the new, we have to call a method now, which we will create also, which will be send friend request. Let's create that method quickly. create send friend request in our profile activity. Here you can see it. So here now let's quickly create a reference to our database that we will need now. So we can say private database reference, and we can say friend request reference, and we will need another reference which will be our reference to the contacts. That is, let's say if two people become friends with each other, then we will store that person specifically in the contacts node. So let's give it name as contacts reference. So come down here, and here we can say friend request reference equals to firebase database dot get instance dot get reference dot child, and the child will be our friends friend requests, and the next one is our contacts reference. So let's just quickly add that one also. So we can say contacts reference, and it will be by the name contacts. Okay, so when a user click on that button and both are, so we can create a, we have to add that two persons to the database. So we can say friend request dot child, and here we have to pass the sender ID, which is the sender of this friend request, which is an online user. So it is stored inside the variable name current user ID. Let's give it, let's change the name of that. Instead of current user ID, we can call it sender user ID. Okay, that make more sense just for the understanding purposes. Here you can see current user ID, and instead of this, let's give it name as sender user ID. Okay, and make sure to change this here and also here, and yeah, that's it. So here we can say sender user ID dot child receiver user ID. So on the basis of this, we can basically recognize that which person send a friend request to which other person, okay, and which other person receive friend request from which person. That is person and person, we imagine that scenario. So here we have to store also the request type alongside with it. So we can say request underscore type dot set value, and it is sent. Okay, so the type is now sent, and we have to, now this is basically we are storing for the sender. Okay, inside the friend request node we have a sender ID, then this inside that sender we have a receiver ID. Okay, so sender dot child receiver ID dot child request type send. Okay, that is, let me tell you once more time. Now this sender inside the database, it means that this sender has sent a friend request to this one, okay, whose ID is stored inside this variable, and the request type we are storing, which is sent. Now we have to save all of these also for the receiver. That is, this receiver receive a friend request from sender. Okay, and for that the request type will be received. So we can say first we have to check if this is completed successfully. So add on complete listener, new on complete listener, make sure to put a semicolon here, and then what I told you is copy this thing, then paste that here. Now we are storing it for the receiver, so receiver user ID and then sender user ID, so that the receiver can know that I received a friend request from this sender, and the request type in this case is received. RECIVED, received. Okay, and let's add on complete listener on it, new on complete listener. Hope you understand everything. So if the task is successful, by the way, if you want, you can add that if task, which is basically identify that if the task is successful, then do this thing. Okay, and the same you can do here if you want to display a toast message. But the important thing is to maintain the stat of the buttons. So for that we have to say if task dot is successful, then First of all, we have to change the current state. Now the current state will be equals to request, say request sent, I guess. What we give, we have to use the same spellings which we have already hard coded give to it. Okay, so request underscore sent. That is why I told you guys earlier to use the same spellings. So anyways, now it will know that the request has already sent. Now instead of the add button, let's say a user right click on this add friend button. So this button now will change to another button which will be, let's say I sent. Now I have this button will change to cancel friend request. Okay, let's say I send your friend request, then this button will change to cancel friend request. And if a user click again on that cancel friend request, then it will then again turns to this add friend. Hope you understand all of these things. So anyways, set text. So we have to say now that is this add friend will turns to cancel friend request. Okay, so our add friend button becomes this one. Oh sorry, this one. Okay, it will now turns to cancel friend request. As I told you, when we run the application you will understand it more clearly then. So anyways, if you want to display a toast message, then you can just write friend request sent, friend request sent. So this is for the two new users. Okay, and as I told you, now the status is request sent. Okay, the request has already sent. Now what if I want to cancel the friend request? Then in that case, come here at the top now, which is this one. Now here we will write the code. Let's say I'm an online user, I send friend request to someone, and then suddenly I remind, hey, I'm not going to send friend request to this person, so I'll just cancel, press the cancel button. Okay, so for that let's create a method by the name cancel. Now this is, we are calling basically the method which we will create now. So cancel friend request. Now let's create it. Create method, profile activity. Here you can see it. Now here, now remember, I mean here this one is for the sender. Okay, we are showing to the sender that the request has sent. Now if the receiver open his account and he come to the profile page for that person, then he will see that I received a friend request from the sender. Okay, so we have to remove for both, for the sender and for the receiver. So for that we will use the same reference, which is our friend request reference dot child. First we will have the sender user id dot child receiver user id, and then we can just say dot remove value dot add on complete listener, new on complete listener. Make sure to put a semicolon here first. Then here we will say if the task is successful, then we have to remove it for the receiver also. Okay, so okay, instead of these, let's just copy this whole thing, copy it and paste it inside this if statement. Okay, so now first of all here we will have receiver, then sender, remove value, and yeah. And now here we will turns the cancel friend request button again to add friend. So we can say first of all add friend dot set text, and the text will be now add friend again. And the most important thing is to update the status. Okay, the state, sorry, so current state is now new again because the online user has already cancelled now. Okay, now the next thing is, this is for the sender, that is, let's say I'm an online user. Okay, so this is for the online user. Now what for the receiver? So in that case we have this if statement, which is request received. So if the request is received, then the receiver will see this add friend button as accept friend request button, and in that case we will visible this button which is our decline friend request, which will be cancel friend request. Okay, so both these two buttons will be now for the receiver of the friend request. So here we can call a method, I mean we can create now that method. First let's call it here which is accept friend request. So create method profile activity. Okay, now here we will do two things. If the user press on the accept friend request button, then in that case what we will do, now we will basically remove the request from the friend request node, and we will create another node inside, inside the context. We have to store those two person which will just become friends with each other. So for that we have already created our context reference dot child. So you can say sender user id dot child receiver user id dot child. You can say contact dot child dot set value. Sorry, we'll set the value to for this as saved contact saved. So yeah, dot add on complete. Sorry, dot add on complete listener, new on complete listener. Make sure to put a semicolon here and then copy this. Now the same we will do for the receiver. To store the record. So if the task is successful, then copy paste this code, and now instead of sender, first pass receiver user id, then sender, and then contact saved. Now once it is saved inside the contacts, okay, inside the sender contacts it is saved. Now that this person is inside my contacts, that is we are friends now. And the receiver, inside the receiver context, we also save that sender is now friend with me. Okay, so we save the context there also. Now we have to remove it from the friend request node. So for that we can just copy this. First let me check this. Here you can see we have this one. Just copy this up to this. Okay, let's just copy this whole method and we will do some changes to it. So copy this, come down to the send friend request, sorry, accept friend request, where it is here, sorry, above. Okay, so if the task is successful, then we have to paste this code, which is basically our for canceling the friend request, but we have to do some changes here. So context.child receivers and no, this one, which we just paste here, friend request reference child sender user id receiver user id remove value, and then receiver sender remove value, and yeah, that's it. Now we have to change the status for this one to friends, that is the two person now become friends. And on the basis of this we will maintain the status for the receiver also. Okay, that is let me just complete this first, and now the user will see a button. Instead of this add friend, we have to change the text of this button as delete contact. Delete contact. And also we have to make sure that our decline friend request button is invisible. Okay, so we can say set visibility to gone. So this is all about our contacts. Saving the contacts if the user click the accept friend request button. So everything is, let me just check this. Yeah, it is okay. Now the last thing is, that is, if the receiver wants, instead of clicking the request accept friend request button, if the user click on the, if the receiver click on the cancel friend request, which is basically our decline friend request button, then in that case what we will do, so here we will call the same method which we already created for our cancel friend request. But for the decline, as you know, by default this button is invisible. Okay, so we have to, for the receiver side, now the things which we just did now is most for the online user. For the receiver, we have to make this button visible, and we have to keep their status also. For that we will write the code, but first let call this method, which is our cancel friend request. Okay, so that's it. Now we have to manage our this decline friend request and also the accept friend request. So come here and inside our manage click events, above this we have our friend request reference. Now from here basically we want to receive our this value, which is our request type. If I show you, then we are basically setting the request type. Okay, for the sender it is sent, for the receiver it is received, which you can see here. So I mean we have to maintain the state for that, and on the basis of the status we can maintain our decline friend request button and also the accept, or you can say the add friend request. So here we can say that friend request reference dot child, and the child is basically first of all we have to do it for the sender. So dot child sender dot add value, add listener for single value event, new value event listener, and inside our own data change first we have to check if data snapshot dot has child receiver user id. If the receiver user id is exist, so we have to get our request type from there. So let's just create a variable by the name request type equals to data snapshot dot child receiver user id dot child, and we have a child by the name request request underscore type, and we have to get the value of it, get value dot to string. Now make sure to put a semicolon at the end, and once it is done we have to add a condition, which is if the request type dot equals to sent. If it is sent, then what we will do in that case, else if the request type is received, then what we will do in the other case. So I mean for the received. Now in case of sent we will do the same thing which we just did here. Okay, but as you know that was hard coded, I mean for the UI. Now these are the things which we are doing for the backend, okay, on the basis of backend. So for that we will do the same thing which we just did here, which is our this send friend request, which is current state will be this, and our button will be cancel friend request. So just copy this, come here and paste this. So now the reason we are doing, I mean we are retrieving it from the database, is let's say for the time being if these ifs condition will execute, okay, which is our which we just did here. But if the user go back, I mean let's say a user click back button and then again come to the profile activity, then all of these things will be automatically gone. I mean inside the database it will be present, but on the UI it will not update our add friend button to the cancel friend request. Okay, so that is why we are retrieving the request type. First we store the request type in the database, and then here we are retrieving the request type on the basis of send and receive, and on the basis of which we identify that either the request is sent or it is received for the online user, or you can say for the sender. So now if a user click on the back button and let's say he again come back again to the profile page, then it will execute this code first and it will check if the request is sent. Then the current state will automatically go to the request sent, and the add friend will automatically change to cancel friend request. Okay, until unless the user click on this cancel friend request button, so I mean it will display. Okay, now for the received we will have the same thing, which is our, okay, for this we will write something, because for the, I mean for the received we have not set the status down below. So for that it will retrieve from database, and here we have to tell that request is received. I think we have already write, I mean we have write this for the UI also. Okay, I told you it is not, but it is present here. Okay, which is request received, and this is calling the method which is accept friend request. accept friend request, and the request is now friends, and delete contact, which is if a user click, if the sender click on the accept friend request, then the add friend button will turn to delete contact. But for the receiver, for the first time, I mean, we have to maintain this button as the request received, and here we can say accept friend request, accept friend request. So if this button is with, I mean, if the request is received, then in that case we want to display our decline friend request button also. Okay, so for that, what we're gonna do here, we can just say decline friend request dot set visibility. And let me tell you again, if you are confused a little bit for this received button, then don't worry. When we run the application and you see the results, then you will more clearly understand everything in detail. Okay, so anyways, we can say view dot visible, and if a user click on the decline friend request button, now as I told you, this decline button is for the receiver of the friend request. Set click listener, on click listener. If a user click on it, we will call the method which is our cancel friend request. So as I told you, if the sender contains the receiver ID, okay, sender, and if the sender has the receiver ID, then we are executing this if condition in which we wrote the send and receive code. Now the next thing is, what if the sender ID does not contain the receiver ID, receiver user ID? Then in that case, we can say else. Now this basically means if the sender user ID does not contain the receiver user ID, I mean sender receiver, I mean if the request is not sent, not received, then we have to check, that is if the request is accepted already. I mean if the user is added to the contacts list of a user. Okay, so we have now, by using the contact reference, we have to check if that person is added to the contact list or not. Okay, so if it is added, in that case we have to allow a user, if the user want to delete the contact. So inside this else, we can say now contact reference dot child sender user id dot add listener for single value event, new value listener, and inside the on data change, we have to first check that if data snapshot, which means if the sender has the receiver ID inside the contact list, it means that the contact is saved, both are friends. And now what we're gonna do is that first we have to maintain our status, which is current state will be friends, and the next thing is we have to turn the add friend button to delete contact, delete contact. And let me tell you once again this thing which we just wrote here. Okay, we write here, we are basically checking in the friend request node if the sender user ID has the receiver user ID. If the receiver ID exists under the sender user ID, then it will be either sent or received. Okay, but if the receiver user ID not exist under the sender user ID, then there are two cases basically. One is that the sender already accept the receiver user ID and both are now in the contact list. Okay, so that is why we write here, that is else. We are checking inside the contact reference now, if the sender has this receiver ID, then we have to display the add button, add friend button, but it will be now delete contact button, because the current stat is friends, and it will execute the, if the user click on add friend button, then it will basically execute the method which is our cancel friend request. Okay, so this is the first case, that is the user is added to his contact list. Otherwise, the other case is that if the sender do not contain the receiver ID, it means that sender and receiver both are new to each other, and they has to send friend request to each other if they want to become friend with each other. So we have to just update our current state to new. Hopefully you have understand everything which I explained. If you have not, then please watch the video again from the start and you will understand it if you watch this tutorial twice. This is my suggestion. Okay, so anyways, we are now done with it, and now is the time to test our application. So I'm just going to connect my phone. So let's just test the application now. So the app is running now successfully, and also let's just go to the database alongside, and now let's just go to the find friends. So here we have our contact, find friends. Now from here let's just go to Muhammad Ali now. Okay, and if I show you, if I go to Muhammad Ali share, okay, add friend, and I am now logged in as this third user, which is John Parker. If I come here, then here you can see the add friend button for my own account is invisible. The visibility for this is gone because a user cannot send a friend request to his own account. Now let's just test the other features, which is for sending. Okay, so I'm going to send friend request to Muhammad Ali first. So if I click on this add friend, then here you can see in the database the button changed to cancel friend request. Okay, now just imagine all the code that we just wrote earlier. Okay, the button is now turns instead of add friend to cancel friend request. Okay, and the status changed now. And also if I show you the database, then friend request, and here now you will see that this is the sender ID, this is the receiver ID, and the request type is sent. Receiver ID, sender ID, and the request type is received. So this person received a friend request from this person. Okay, if you check in the database, then you will see at F, which is this one. Muhammad Ali received friend request from OJOR, which is OJOR from John Parker. Here you can see it. Okay, so John Parker sent a friend request to this one, which is Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad Ali received friend request from John Parker. That is why the request type is received. And here you can see John Parker sent friend request to this one, which is Muhammad Ali, and the request type is sent for the sender, whose name is OJOR. The ID is whose name is John Parker. So I hope you understand this. If I just go back and come again to Muhammad Ali, then here you can see it retrieved the status, which is cancel friend request Muhammad Ali. Okay, so it means that is the we have already sent friend request to the Muhammad Ali. John Parker already sent. Okay, let's just go back, come again to here, and here you can see it says cancel friend request. So now if I click on this cancel friend request, then here you can see the request is deleted successfully. Here you can see it. Now the next thing is to check other features. If I just go back, come again to Muhammad Ali, here you can see now Muhammad Ali, and the button is add friend. Let's just send friend request now. Okay, so I sent John Parker sent friend request to Muhammad Ali. Now I'm going to log out from this account quickly, and what I'm going to do is to log in as Muhammad Ali and see what we get for the receivers from the receiver side. So let's just log out. So I am now logged in as, if I show you, as Muhammad Ali. Okay, and if we now go back to the find friends, and if we come here to the John Parker, okay, as you know that John Parker sent me a friend request. If I click on John Parker profile, which is this one, okay, if I click here, then here you can see John Parker see now two buttons, which is accept friend request and cancel friend request. Okay, so if the John Parker click on the cancel friend request button, sorry, if Muhammad Ali, John Parker is the sender, okay, and Muhammad Ali comes to John Parker profile, and now Muhammad Ali is the receiver. So Muhammad Ali receiver see two button, accept friend request, cancel friend request. Now if Muhammad Ali press the cancel friend request button, then simply it will delete the friend request. Okay, these two nodes. And if he click on this accept, let's click on accept friend request, because we have already tested the cancel friend request. So let's click on accept friend request. Okay, then here you can see the friend request node is deleted successfully. The context node is added because it is saved to the contacts list. If I show you, here you can see. So inside the sender contact list, this one contact is added. Okay, contact saved. And inside the receiver contact list, this sender contact is saved. So yeah, that's it for this video. Now what we will do in the next tutorial is that in the next tutorial we will be retrieving all the requests. I mean, either it is the sent request or the received request on our here. When a user, let me just show you, if we just go back, this one, if the user click on this notification button, then here we will display all the requests that an online user received from other person, from other people. So from here the user will take actions instead of going here to the find friend and searching for different user. Okay, because the user will simply know from here, from the notifications, that I received a new friend request from person B or person C, whatever it is. Okay, so hope you understand this. So yeah, that's it for this video, and see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.